Hello, Rei Caldombra here for the Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic anime episodes 4 through 9 review. Rose is a 10 out of 10. So, back for another video about Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic, covering episodes 4 to 9. I am still absolutely loving the show, and I want to talk about it more without waiting until the end. Spoiler warning, and I did make the image that you're seeing here. Feel free to use it. It's on my Twitter from back when I first made it. So yeah, if there's any other fellow Rose simps out there, please use it. The greatness in episode 89 is the main reason that I'm writing a new post now and making a video post, and will be the bulk of this post, but I'll talk a bit about the earlier episodes of this 4 to 9 chunk. Watching the three main characters slowly grow and come into their own has been really nice to watch. I still enjoy seeing them having slightly different outlooks while still connecting on the basis of the crazy situation that they were thrust in. They all needed different amounts of time and experience to process things and make up their mind. Hopefully, we'll be getting some more great stuff from seeing them be together again for the main battle. I didn't mention how I feel about the opening in the first post. I think it's really great. The music really gets you hyped. The art is great. Everyone looks awesome and has very detailed and expressive looks. I don't have too much to say about the Edie. It's fine, but nothing notable to me. It does remind you of the life Suzu had before coming here, which at least gives some relevant purpose to those visuals. So, a minor gripe as of now is that I really don't see the purpose of the future vision that Usato was shown. I don't really feel like it changed his way of thinking or actions. I did not feel like he was especially cocky or not taking the situation seriously, and he already had Rose instilling in him and us as the viewer that war is terrible and that he will be responsible for keeping people alive. Maybe there will be more to it later, but I do not think this did anything for me as of now. It may have just had the purpose to drive up tension, but I do not think forcing it with something dramatic like this is really what we needed. Now, onto the highlight of this section, which is episodes 8 and 9, which cover Rose's backstory. Hearing my favorite voice actress, Konomi Kohara, in episode 8 was a welcome surprise. Her voice for Ol is probably the hardest to recognize out of everything I've heard from her, as the tone is very different. I immediately thought about it upon hearing her talk, but was not certain until her crying when she got punched convinced me. I know her yelling and crying noises anywhere. Kohara excels at bringing cute, cheerful energy that immediately makes you endear for the character that she's playing. Yeah, I absolutely love her as a voice actress. So I think the time we got with Rose's original squad was very well done and well paced. It gave us enough time to let us feel the bond, but not so long that we felt like we were wasting time with characters that we knew would be dying. Ol is the only one who gets proper focus, but for the purpose of the unit, focus on all of them was not really needed. We also did get a nice moment that helped us feel that the other members were all people with names and lives, even if we didn't really see those. The scene where Rose talks to the parents of Josh hits really hard and got me genuinely emotional. It's great for the world to have the events of that fight have an impact on more than just Rose. Like, that terrible event wasn't just for the sake of Rose's character, she wasn't the only one who was affected. Hearing such a positive spin on the death of a soldier, that really hits hard too. I hope most parents of fallen soldiers can reach the point of healthy acceptance that we saw Josh's parents have. This scene both helps Rose and, for the point of this blurb, reminds us that even though the other members like Josh did not get hard focus, they still had some more substance and purpose than just being extra soldiers to die. They weren't solely there just to die for Rose. There was more all-encompassing impact. A criticism I have seen levied at the show was that it took too long to get to the war content that it's been building up to. It did take quite a while to get some proper action, but the action delivers. It is by no means at the top level of anime action that we've gotten in recent times, but it is good. The art is pretty great while being fun and engaging, with one of the best moments of the show being her chucking trees. That's just like so cool. There was solid pacing too, with the action not being stopped for too long by exposition. I enjoyed this fight and I hope the upcoming fights are up to its caliber at least. I really appreciate how the show's bringing up her losing her eye in the battle, how that makes a big difference in the moment. A minor pet peeve of mine with action is how often shows degrade the impact and weight of a character losing an eye or another appendage. Most of the time, they just keep fighting the same as normal or acclimate way too fast. I love her mentioning specifically that her depth perception is off because of losing her eye. In a proper battle, that would make a massive difference. It's not something you would just blink a few times and suddenly you'll get it. And while losing an eye only takes away about 30% of your vision, not 50, that could also mean the difference between life and death when you have arrows and magical blasts and stuff like that aimed at you. Characters barely changing from losing an eye sabotages dramatic weight and breaks my immersion in combat. I appreciate that this show gave her losing her eye the gravity it deserves in the moment, even if it was just a bit of dialogue. Just the proper acknowledgement of the issues of losing an eye brings means a lot to me. And the battle ending with the demon commander being saved is also a really interesting one, and is a continued example of how this show is being very fresh. They're clearly setting up here that the demons are not meant to just be evil adversaries. It also shows the strength of Rose's character by not having her fall into a blind rage and completely flipping as a character. Even after seeing her friends be killed, she still saw the meaning in her adversary wanting to save someone dying on the battlefield. This hits Rose at the core of who she is, because that's her main thing. That's what she wants to do. Both humans and demons have people they care about and want to save. Up to this point, I honestly didn't have anything to say about the demons, as they seem like your standard demonic adversaries, but this makes me feel positive that we will get solid substance from them. And I think Rose's fall into depression and her recovery is super well done. I like how we got a variety of her thoughts rather than jumping straight to a strong reaction. She did contemplate suicide, but she is engaging in self-punishment and doesn't believe that she has the right to die. But what should she do with her life? She's thought about going on a demon murder rampage and getting revenge, but she already recognized that that's not the right thing to do. She spent over a month stuck in her depression rather than going back, so we can infer she considered quitting altogether. Another great aspect of Rose's emotional side of things is how she gave herself the pep talk based on her memories rather than getting a stereotypical pep talk from someone else. So, and again, the show is doing things that aren't exactly novel and mind blowing, but it's doing it in a fresh way that's just, yeah, refreshing. It's important to show how support from others is important for emotional processing, but getting over every emotional hump doesn't come from someone telling you how great you are. And sometimes you do need to work through things yourself internally. The king and other knights checking up on her likely helped, but this is clearly not written as a pep talk. Sometimes people can work through things on their own with enough time to process. And this isn't from negative behavior, like her not accepting help or having a bloated ego. The problem was all internal, and there's no way anyone else could have related to her, as no one else has the capacities that she does. So when she feels bad about failing to heal them and protect them, no one else in the kingdom had that ability, so no one could truly relate with her. And I love that it took a long time for her to reach this state. It's important to note how long it takes to cope with your emotions. And to return to the pep talk point, sometimes those pep talks that make a person's emotional state do a complete 180 can make it seem like overcoming bad emotions is very easy. And this is just very bad for thinking about mental health. I really like her growth comes from her thinking about their lives rather than about the deaths of her party members. It's obvious that after a horrific event like she experienced, she would be hyper fixated on their deaths. She already had the answer as all was dying, that she should not hate herself and to continue being the strong and kind person that she is. She was also told by Josh's parents that she should not be ashamed of herself and what she's done. But so like she had positive reinforcement and a healthy way of thinking thrown in her direction very early on. but the severity of the moment muted the positive impact of those words. When she is able to think about what came before that terrible event, she realizes the proper way to think. By remembering what her squad said while they were alive, she was able to put her own life into perspective and find a goal. Knowing everything that happens, it feels like a logical conclusion for Rose to focus entirely on saving lives. As a character within the archetype of the tough, brutal teacher, Rose feels far above the rest as a dynamic and fleshed out character who does not exist like just to be hated. She does the usual drill sergeant type of thing while having proper motivation and emotional reasoning behind it. She's not brutal just so the main character has to struggle against someone. She's brutal because of her backstory that stands entirely on its own, not just for any singular purpose. Rose really is a fantastic character by all metrics, and to me, she alone makes the show worth the watch. So yeah, this show continues to have great characters and excellent execution. We did have to wait a little too long for some great action with overall slow pacing, but it was still enjoyable, and I personally see some value in the slow build-up, so it really didn't bother me that much. The build-up was very successful for Rose's side of things, so I feel confident that the build-up will have been worth it for Risato's side as well. Hopefully this anime will continue on strong through to its conclusion. Thank you for listening.